everyone, welcome back to SWE Code. My name is Simona. In this series, we are teaching you how to code in Python. If you want to print out a statement 5 times, what would you write in your code? What about 50 times or even 500 times? In today's class, we will learn about 4 while loops to make your code more efficient and powerful. Let's get started.
Welcome to our 5th lesson. For today's lesson, we're going to be talking about for and while loops. Let's say you want to print a statement 5 times. You could do this by writing 5 print statements. However, this is incredibly repetitive and it's very easy to make mistakes. An easy way to fix this is using loops. A while loop is pretty easy to understand. The general idea is that while something's happening, the block of code within the while loop should run. Take this example. Within the while loop, we print the statement counter is less than num and increment counter. Recall from our last video that the statement counter is less than num is a conditional, and the while loop will only run when this conditional is true. This means that the loop will print out counter is less than num 5 times. Upon the 6th loop, the counter value will be 5, so the conditional will be false and the while loop will terminate. When using while loops, there's always a danger of using something called an infinite loop. Infinite loops occur when the while loop condition is never false, so the loop will run over and over again. To prevent this, make sure your conditional for your while loop will stop at some point. In our example with the counter, an infinite loop would occur if we never incremented the counter size. The counter would always be 0, so the conditional would always be true, meaning the program would print the statement forever. For loops are a little less straightforward than while loops, but they follow the same general idea of running a block of code a certain number of times. To loop through code a specified number of times, we can use the range function. The range function returns a sequence of numbers starting from 0, ending at a specified number. So, a for loop over a range of 10 will loop through 10 numbers from 0 to 10. Similarly, a for loop can also run through a range of values in, say, a list. Say you have a list with 5 elements, A, B, C, D, and E. The following for loop will run over each element, executing a total of 5 times. It's important to note that the range function is not end inclusive. This means that the range of 5 will output numbers from 0 to 4, excluding the final number 5. Similarly, range of 10 will output 10 numbers from 0 to 9, not including the number of 10. This is because the range's values begin at the number 0, not 1. Let's take a look at the general syntax of a for loop in Python. Every for loop has a header with the keywords for and in. What the for loop does is it repeats all code within the loop X amount of times. In this case, this for loop is iterating over and printing a range of 10 elements, so the output is the numbers 0 through 9. Once again, you can see that the range is not inclusive since 10 isn't printed. Similarly, we can also loop over the elements in a list. In this example, this loop is iterating over and printing every element in this list, so the output will be A, B, C, D, E. So what's the main difference between for loops and while loops? The for loop and the while loop have the exact same function, just with different syntax. The only notable difference is that unlike while loops, it's a little hard to have infinite for loops, since you specify the exact number of times you want the code to run. Here's a problem for you to practice for and while loops. See if you can print out all of the multiples of 2 up to 10 using a for loop. Next, try to see if you can do this using a while loop. Pause the video and take some time to try this problem on your own. Hopefully you were able to figure it out. Using a for loop, the code would look something like this. Here's what the code would look like using a while loop. As you can see, the for loop and while loop do the same thing, just in slightly different ways. To review, we have learned that loops are an effective way of repeating the same code over and over again. There are 2 different kinds of loops, for loops and while loops. For loops are best for when you want to repeat an action a specified number of times, and while loops are best for when you want to repeat an action until a certain condition is fulfilled. Now, let's try using loops in Python.
In summary, we learned about two types of loops, for loops and while loops. In for loops, we know exactly how many times the body statement will be executed, but not in while loops. They are both very useful, but choose wisely under different conditions. Today is also the last lesson of our Python workshops. You already learned enough skills to build your own project. Our coding challenges videos will be coming soon, and they will lead you to build a game or draw a picture in Python. By participating in those coding challenges, you will also get the opportunity to win Amazon gift card. Please like and subscribe to our channel to see more future videos, and leave a comment below if you have any video ideas. See you next time. Bye!